Hey there, Cancer. Have you been feeling a little bit over emotional recently? Well, you've got pretty good reasons for that, especially if you feel like something's coming, like something in your waters. This is a forecast, like taking you on a 2-week journey from the full moon in Scorpio right the way through to the 27th of May when we have got the new moon in Gemini. Now, obviously, with the moon as your ruling planet, everything the moon connects to or makes an aspect to is most likely to create a little bit of an energy with you. And of course, at the full moons and new moons, this is much stronger than usual. Now, what's going on with these 2 weeks? Well, I would say both of these particular moons have a really strong connection with Uranus. First of all, the full moon in opposition to Uranus. And I don't know if you looked at my full moon. I think I can't remember what I called it now, but my full moon in Scorpio video, it was, that particular energy is really, really strong. And surprising. It's dragging up energies from the unconscious mind. But where this is leading to with a new moon in Gemini, that particular new moon is in a conjunction with both Uranus and Mercury. So the feelings of the Uranian energy, which can be shocking, revelatory, new, fresh, funky, eccentric. This is bringing in change. These moons are seeding change. So what I want to do in this short video is take you on a 2-week journey, really to lay out some of the big planetary patterns and to give you an idea as to what you might choose to focus on to best use this energy. So hopefully that will be helpful. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name's Louisa Munson, and the way I practice astrology is to create a little bit of space for you so you don't feel so, I don't know, packed in, and stuck in place because of the astrology. I really think astrology should be used as a tool, but we shouldn't put all of our energy in it. We should, it's there to help us. It's there to guide us. And it's important that we also use our own common sense. And, I think it's completely possible to see what's coming up and to start to plan with that in mind. And that's what I'm hoping for with this. So really, there's a few, say 3 questions that I'm going to be hopefully giving some guidance on. And this is, first of all, how are you becoming and who are you becoming? So what are the sort of changes that are coming up because of this Uranian energy? There's a lot going on out there, and you may well feel that it's making an impact in here. So that's my second question. How are you internalizing the great change, and what are you making that mean? And then the last one is really, how are you breaking the hold that authority has on you? Because I really see with these Uranian energies, and also the fact that Saturn is changing signs on the 25th, I think this is about us coming into our own authority and loosening the attachments that we have to any other methods of authority that we seem to put a lot of energy and emphasis on. So let's bring on my I forgot to say, if you've come back and you've been here before, welcome back. I love it. If you've enjoyed this and you've subscribed and so on and so forth, and you come back regularly, thank you so much. I love that you're supporting the channel. So anyway, I've got my slides up. Let's have a look now. And usually I talk about the energy of the full moon to the new moon. I've actually cut this out. I do that and look at the diary, with the most important dates on it. I've actually put those into a separate video because they are absolutely, they're relevant to everyone. So I've put them in a video called Shadow and Shift to the Light. So look out for that, and it will include all of that. So there's a lot more information, but that's more general information for this 2-week forecast that really does count for everybody. But as you can see, there's quite some big dates here, including the Uranus Cazimi on the 17th. We've also got a Mercury conjunction with Uranus on the 24th. And of course, on the 25th, Saturn going into Aries is a big one. Anyway, I'm going to be looking at these 3 charts for you from your perspective as a Cancerian. And I just want to say, it doesn't matter if you're watching this as somebody with Sun in Cancer or, ascendant Cancer. This is really delivered to you from the perspective. If I was to choose which one's more important, I would probably say the ascendant, because I've lined up the chart with Cancer in the sort of first house position with a whole sign and makeup. But people who listen to this as their sun sign too, they always come back and say, oh yeah, that was spot on. And of course, if you're listening for your sun sign and your ascendant sign, you might find that you also might choose to go and listen to another sign as well. So you've got those covered. So for instance, I'm a Sagittarius, Scorpio rising. I would listen to both Sag and Scorpio. But anyway, I'm just going to say thank you to everybody who supports this channel, whether it's historically or current, all of your contributions really make a difference to me. So thank you so very much. But now let's have a look at these 3 charts. So we've got the full moon in Scorpio. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I always talk about it at, if we go back to my previous forecast, which went from the new moon in Taurus to the full moon in Scorpio, there was quite a bit there as well. So we're picking up the baton from the full moon in Scorpio and taking you to the new moon in Gemini. So this is the particular chart for the full moon. And you can see that this full moon is happening, if we look at this in terms of houses, this is happening sort of emphasizing the 5th house area. And then where we're moving to in our emphasis is over to the 12th house area. Now, this is important to realize because, first of all, the 5th house and the 12th house, or these areas, the parts of our life that are really under the microscope, they're not the most important ones. So for instance, when these moons are going on in your 1st, 7th, 4th, or 10th houses, they tend to cause a lot more change. And especially with this Uranus one, it could create a bit of concern, actually. But where this is happening, the 5th house is very much about the things that we've birthed in our life. And of course, that can very physically be our children, but also the projects and the hobbies that we have. And from a love perspective, it shows, the blossoming of love, the moment where you meet someone, you come into that connection together and you really are birthing something together, something beautiful. And so that full moon would have brought up a lot of feelings of, well, first of all, with the, if I just go back a little bit, and again, I would have said this or something similar at the end of the previous forecast, the previous 2-week forecast, the emphasis that's opposing this moon, that's really lighting up everything that you're passionate about, all these things that bring you joy, that you're birthing into your world. It felt like there were people from the outside possibly shocking you or surprising you, people that just seem a little bit oppositional to you. So you might have felt that you've wanted to keep everything to yourself and kind of keep the outside literally outside. And of course, as we're working through, you'll see the moon has already gone through halfway, is right at the end of Aquarius and coming into Pisces. And then as we go to the final chart down here, the new moon in Gemini, the emphasis is firmly in this area, which again is definitely on the inside. Both of these houses are very, very creative. They're very much about getting to our core. But this one's a lot more quiet. So the particular new moon in Gemini that's coming up for you is here to, I think, refresh you and give you a feeling of a new start. See, I firmly believe, and I don't say I firmly believe many things, but I firmly believe that the birth chart, like the idea of the 1st house, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, I really believe this is where we're being born, and this is all about our identity. And from that, all the different aspects of our life come together. And then as we come around to here, we are letting go of that current life. Now, no, it's not necessarily that we're dying, but we're dying to our stories. We're letting go of the stories we've made. And over here, in particular, in this area here where we're super busy, this is where we are really building and constructing the stories that really help us in life. And so this new moon coming up on the 27th of May is here to help you let go of where you've been. So, according to what's going on in your chart, like if you're going through your Saturn return or your Chiron return right now, most likely this particular new moon would be really letting go years and years and years of old stories, this kind of real letting of stories, so that you can have a real kind of clean break, and create a clean slate. Now, obviously, the moon also often represents the maternal energies. So you might be letting go of mum stories in particular, or stories about you as a mum or a carer or somebody who really values other people. So Yeah, this 12th house new moon in Gemini is really here to help you um, see what's going on in your life. But this is a new moon, so there's not much illumination. So when I said see, I didn't mean see with the actual eyes, but kind of see with your feelings. You're actually more, you're intuiting. You get that sense. You can connect into all of your different senses. Now, Uranus here, he's just in the 11th, but he's moving over to this neck of the woods on the 7th of July. But Uranus is really sparking a whole series of different thoughts coming up. Uranus is a great channeler, and trust me, as Uranus comes into this part of your chart, you know, if I was in your shoes, I would be aware that a lot of intuition, a lot of sudden knowing comes in, a lot of almost telepathy. There, I said it the third or fourth time. Different patterns we can observe. It's almost like you can come out of your body and see what's going on from a different perspective. So perspectives are changing. Although Uranus isn't here, he has been, like, the sun, the moon, and Mercury have all picked up his flavor before coming into this 12th house. So this, I think, is a time of revelation. You will get these little downloads, or these little sudden knowings of things from the past. Maybe sudden memories come up. And Uranus can be a little bit shocking. So you might be a little bit shocked by what comes up. But here's the thing I want to really let you know about. And then I want to just pace through this whole 2-week period, because I want to give you a sense of where we're going and then kind of sort of fill in the gaps. But where this is happening is it's clearing out a lot of stuff. So if you see the new moon here, the position of Mercury and Uranus, they're all in this lovely trine to Pluto. Now, Pluto is a great transformer. He really shows us, he makes us aware of what we're afraid of and what we're trying to control in our life, so that we get the chance to look at our fears and also look at the techniques we use to try and get our own way. And there's nothing wrong with trying to get your own way, but really, I think Pluto is showing us how to get into our real power, rather than the cleverly constructed power that we think we need to be able to make our life work. So, Pluto can show where we manipulate and also where we get manipulated. And so in this beautiful set of trines to the new moon, to Mercury and Uranus, and Pluto's current position, and he's going to be here in this part of your chart for a really long time, at least another 19 years. He is helping you review the old family stories. This place here is all about inheritance, literally not just the physical inheritance, but the DNA inheritance, the inheritance of family issues, as well as the family wealth. It also shows you moving on to the next stage of life. This part of the chart really does reflect the Plutonic energy, which is birth, life, death, and the recycling of energy. The idea that everything is cyclical and that we are always moving on to the next step. And sometimes we might be a bit frightened to go to the next step. So if there has been a next step where maybe there's some trauma, something ancestral, something that's been holding you back from really claiming your own power, this new moon is going to give you all the insight for you to make that change. This is really a really clearing energy. I do think it's important to go in with the intent of clearing, and also the intent of acceptance, the intent of forgiveness, and most likely self-forgiveness. That's not to say you can't move on until you forgive everyone in your life, because I know I get messages from people who say, oh my God, if you only knew what had happened to me, you would not be saying that, how callous of you. And I'm not trying to offend or upset anyone, but this is one of these aspects that as it comes along, it gives you the biggest clearing that you can manage, that feels safe for you to do at this particular moment in time. So, I'm not suggesting you are completely safe to do this, but go as far as you feel you can. Now, the new moon here is also suggesting that it's time to rest a little bit, because the next new moon that occurs in June is going to be in your own sign. And boy, is that the sign of rebirthing. So this is the death of the stories. And as we're going into June, you're going to be restarting and rebirthing yourself in a whole new way. And by that time, Jupiter will also have crossed into your own sign. So this is, I think, super lucky, because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. He's very, very happy in Cancer. Now, that's not the only thing. Saturn is also supporting you. He's helping you to take action, to really move forward. So it really does feel actually that it's almost like life has manipulated or maneuvered everything to happen in this way so that you can get this sense of clearing and can come into your own sense of new power, not power that has been influenced by the expectations of family members, mums, dads, and the things, like where you've carried these kind of burdens on your shoulders or a reputation in your family that you've lived up to, but actually it's not really you at all. So it's like you come into your own power, you shrug off the expectations, you're coming into yourself. Now, I haven't mentioned Saturn moving from Pisces into Aries. Now, Saturn in Pisces isn't necessarily that happy. But he does the best that he can, and he has helped you, I think, over the last couple of years to stabilize some of your thoughts about what life is, the nature of reality. And sometimes I think when things get stabilized, it can seem a bit boring and a bit flat, and you can get a little bit possibly a bit depressed about what you see as being as going on in the world. So this place, it does hold things like politics and all sorts of different views on life, but also spirituality. So, having had Neptune recently going through this and then Saturn going through this at all, you might have realized in recent years that, like, what is the point of life? It's all kind of meaningless. And whilst that sounds like quite a depressing place to come to, it also clears a different kind of space. It clears a space in your understanding. It helps you to realize that actually sometimes there isn't much you can do about the outer world. The only thing you can do is what's going on in your inner world. And so Neptune now is giving you all the kinds of encouragement to be as creative as possible, as you are always creating the legacy of you. And then as Saturn comes in on the 25th, this is representing a time when you're starting to take yourself seriously. And then, of course, when you hear that, you can clear stuff from the past, the ancestral stuff of the past, and step into your own set of expectations, your own understanding of yourself. This is you really taking your self-responsibility. And this is why these kinds of clearings need to take place, because when they take place, it shows you exactly who you are, completely unwrapped without any of the bullshit behind it. So I see this has been very helpful. Now, the last thing I really wanted to share with you is during this time, there's this really lovely trine between Venus and Mars. It's super special. It's really giving you a sense of balance between your desire to thrive and push and yield and submit and be easy. I don't mean easy sexually unless that suits you, but I'm really referring to the sort of inner drives within you, the desire for peace and the desire for war. It's all coming together. You're in that balance, and to me, that's a place where you can really come into your own authority and move forwards. Last couple of things I want to share with you, then, Cancer, and that is that there's a couple of really zippy energies. One on Saturday the 17th, we've got the Sun in I'm going to go back to this chart because it's the closest one to this moment. You see on the 17th, the Sun is just in a conjunction with Uranus, and we've got the Cazimi, the Uranus Cazimi. This is a time when real sort of out of the blue stuff can happen. It's definitely a time to be quite spontaneous, definitely a time to consider maybe problems, maybe in the run up to this, maybe say from the 14th, 15th, so Wednesday, Thursday of the coming week, you might decide to think, okay, well, what are these ongoing problems I always seem to struggle with? Where do I really need a bit of a helping hand? And have that in mind. When you've got those impossible things you can't really resolve, I always think that if you seed what you would like to know, then with these Mercury Cazimis or Uranus Cazimis, I really do believe we get this opportunity to have that sudden knowing, this spontaneous knowing. So anything you can do that is spontaneous, that helps you to be free and working in the moment, I think the answers are coming to you. So Saturday, the 17th, I will be posting something about the times of the Cazimi just before. It is important to do it at be mindful of the Cazimi, the exact time frame of it. It's gone in a blink of an eye or in about 8 hours or so. And then on the 24th of May, the sun is in an exact trine to Pluto. That's really beneficial. But also Mercury is in a conjunction with Uranus. And so these are two very strong and zippy days where your consciousness can really soar and reach up. So there you go, Cancer. I hope that was helpful to you in understanding the next couple of weeks. Like I said, if you're interested in a lot more depth in terms of each of the different aspects, then please do have a look at my video called The Shadow and the Shift to Light, your 2-week forecast. And next weekend, I'm also going to be posting my new moon in Gemini video called Upgrades Incoming. So stay tuned and hopefully I'll catch you soon. Now, last thing, I promise, if you do want to work with me or would like a little bit of help in some way, shape or form, then there's loads of different ways to work with me and interact. So for instance, all my details about how to have a consultation are just below. They're little links. You can click directly into my diary. I've also got details about my membership where I have, okay, hot off the press, I have one monthly get together, but I'm actually going to make it two. So every 2 weeks, I'll be having a get together with my community where I can answer questions and share information, look at charts and things. You also get 4 different forecasts throughout the month for your sign. In fact, for all the signs. So if you wanted to check out other signs, you could. Yeah, there's loads of different benefits. So just check it out. It's all below. But anyway, hopefully you have a great time. This is a time of deep change, and I think you're going to do just fine. So anyway, take care, and let's hope to connect again real soon. Bye for now.